Every single time you run your hands through your hair, you have all these little pieces and breakage going on. What is the cause of it and what can you do about it? I'm going to answer that question on today's video. What's up, everyone? How are you all? Welcome back to another episode of the Brandon Experience. My name is Brandon, and on today's episode, I'm going to be addressing breakage. Before we deep dive into breakage, let's first talk about what this video is not about. This video is not addressing shedding. Every person loses like 80 to 100 strands, give or take a few, depending on the person and the amount of follicles on their head per day. You lose these strands and they just naturally shed, new ones come in. Our body is always replenishing itself. It's pretty incredible, right? We're talking about pieces of the hair strand breaking off, which is an indicator that something external is going on. On another video, I'll address what happens with excessive shedding and what's going on potentially internally. So the first thing that you want to consider is, what are your hydration and moisture levels like? I just did a whole video on that, so I'll put that up at the top. I always forget where those videos go, but I know it's up here somewhere. And you can click on that for a deep dive into what you can do to address your hydration issues if your hair is dry. Dry hair is brittle, it's a lot more fragile, and more prone to break off. The next villain that attacks our hair and contributes towards breakage is heat or thermal styling. That's your flat irons, that is your curling irons, that's your smoothing iron, that's your crimping, hot comb, blow dryers. Anything that heats up is a thermal styling tool that has the potential to cause damage. It's no secret to anyone that thermal styling makes your hair weaker and can cause breakage over time. There's three things that I want you to keep in mind about thermal styling. If you can turn down the temperature, thermal style less often, and use the appropriate products to protect your hair, you're going to stand a much better chance. A lot of us think that we have to crank our irons all the way up to get a smooth finish. If we blow dry well and use the appropriate products, then we have to use less heat when we actually do styling. It's also super important if you are a person that washes their hair and then likes to put a blow dryer or those really cool new brushes that are a round brush mixed with a blow dryer. When you put those hot plates against your hair when it's hot, it literally sears or scorches your hair. You want to go ahead and use a microfiber towel or a t-shirt. Give your hair a little bit of air drying, even if you want to, before you apply any extreme heat to it. If you want to sit under a hooded dryer and kind of plait or twist your hair to stretch or elongate it if you're looking for a smooth finish for curls or wavy hair, that's an excellent technique that you can use to protect yourself from the heat. When you are selecting an appropriate temperature for your smoothing iron, keep in mind that irons might have the capability to go up to 450 degrees, but that doesn't mean that that's what you need for your hair. If you can stay in the 300s, that's wonderful. If your hair has been smoothed professionally and you just want to do a touch-up, keep in mind it's already been straightened, so you don't have to use as much heat when you go to touch up your hair. And then the final part of that was using the appropriate thermal protectants and products that can give you a little resistance. Thermal protectant products are deceiving because some people think it says up to 450, so I can go up to 450, but it's really just letting you know that's where it kind of caps out, but don't push it to the limit. Wear your seatbelt, but don't crash into the wall. The next thing that can be contributing or could be a cause of your breakage would be chemical processes. Chemical processes include color, lightening, relaxing, perming. All of those chemical processes can lead to breakage if they are not done correctly or if they are not maintained properly after receiving the chemical service. Texture of hair should be considered when we're doing any chemical service. We'll take relaxers for example. A lot of times we in the past have been guilty of selecting relaxer strength based upon curl pattern, as opposed to what we really should be looking at is the hair texture. Hair texture is the diameter of that individual hair strand. So if this is a hair strand, if it's really thick, that's going to be coarse hair. If it's really thin, then that's going to be fine hair. Fine hair you can roll between your fingers and it kind of feels almost invisible. Coarse hair might be a little closer to like fishing line when you feel it between your fingers. Curly hair usually lives in the fine to medium range, meaning that the strength of the relaxers that we choose for curly hair were often wrong. We picked up the Core Super Relaxer because the coil was tight, but we actually should have been looking at the texture. It's also important to keep in mind when you have chemical services done to your hair that the maintenance that you do afterwards is absolutely critical. If the hair is feeling brittle or the elasticity is gone, then that means it's time to strengthen using some type of protein or keratin treatment. There's excellent keratin treatments available from numerous lines. There's these really awesome bond builders like OLAPLEX that people use to strengthen the inner core of your hair. These are all wonderful examples of products that you can use to maintain your chemical services, or if you've done something thermally or manipulated your hair in some way that it's having breakage and damage, that's going to help repair and save you from that excessive breakage in the long run. Another culprit could be us forgetting to get our haircuts on time. If you're having breakage and it's not attributed to any of the other factors, or maybe it's a combination of, it's so important that we get our haircuts on schedule. What is the appropriate schedule for haircuts? I get in trouble every time I say a number, so I try to stay away from it because everyone's hair is so different. Some are going to need to be trimmed or have haircuts a little more often based off of their curl pattern, their hair texture, what they have done to their hair, chemical services, how much they thermally style. The list can go on and on. However, another person might be able to go a lot longer. So what you really want to do is establish a good schedule with your professional. So if your stylist says that you need to come in quarterly, or you are a 6 to 8 week person, whatever that is, try to stick to that schedule. And that's really going to help you minimize the breakage that your hair is having. If you are still having concerns and you're like, oh man, I'm checking off all these things that we have just gone through in today's video and you're still having trouble with breakage, it's time for you to talk to your professional about it. They have so many treatments and things at their disposal that they can use to help you out. You might need a haircut, or maybe you just need a good treatment. Either way, talk to your professional so they can get you hooked up. On our site, we have an excellent section of products that are designed for damage and breakage. So be sure to go to thebrandonexperience.com and check it out. If you have any questions, shoot us an email, or you can leave comments down below and I respond to everyone's comment. The goal of this video was to let you know some of the things that can be contributing towards your breakage. If you have any feedback or questions, as always, drop them below, and I will see you all next week. Everyone stay safe. Peace.